Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of IMI, episode 145. It just keeps going and going and going. It's pretty awesome, actually. Just talking about that today. So today, we just got back from Yosemite. So I don't know why I didn't do a vlog there. Living it, baby! Yeah! But it was actually a really incredible experience. So before going back to the Yoga Sutras, we're still taking a break before we get back to the yamas, and we're gonna today I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the meaning of life. Just drop that in there real quick. I don't know what the fucking meaning of life is. Actually, I do. It's whatever the hell you want it to be. You give it whatever the hell meaning you want. It doesn't mean a goddamn thing. There is no fucking meaning. Give it the meaning that you want. And as a matter of fact, you're giving it all this meaning. We'll segue right into it with your subconscious mind, right? I want to talk a little bit about the conscious and the subconscious mind. And actually, you are really being ruled by your subconscious mind and you don't know it. And it's really fucked up because the whole world is. Oh, dude, there's so much. I mean, this society and this world and these rules, you don't even know. Even if you're a woke, aware person, the whole idea is you must recognize that you don't even know what you don't know, right? And we're being ruled by these subconscious mind, by the way, there's, according to the yogic philosophy, there's a lot of different facets of the mind. There's not just the conscious and the subconscious and all this kind of stuff. There's like 16, and then it breaks down into other places. But for the sake of simplicity, and because I don't really fucking know, we're going to talk about just the subconscious and the conscious mind, right? And when we stay on the very surface level of things, I mean, there's all these different these different brain wavelengths, right? And if we're staying just up at the surface in the alpha waves, that is just the conscious mind. That is the space where we just know what we know and we just operate in this way. So the subconscious mind is totally where it's deeply programmed into us, and we don't. The thing that's fucked up that's so interesting is that when we stay within our own little groups, which is a tendency for, culturally, we tend to, if we haven't really ever traveled or anything like that, but particularly even just within our friendship groups and things like that, we gravitate towards people who see the world the way we do. And then that validates the way we see the world, so we don't wind up growing. We just stay stagnant, right? And so the idea is to be able to step out of just your small-minded nature and understanding of who you are, and understand that there is so much more to you that you have no fucking idea. I mean, I've been teaching about this for years, but I keep understanding it on deeper levels because I just need to keep hearing it and seeing and reading and experiencing new ways of understanding it, and experiencing it, and experiencing new ways of understanding it and understanding new ways of experiencing it, right? And it's like a cycle. Knowledge leads to experience leads to more knowledge, and it keeps going. So the subconscious mind that we are ruled by, it is so important, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, but my experience, is to go dig down into these places and understand where we have these subconscious programs that are actually stopping us from doing what we think we want to do. The issue is that we can have a conscious drive and a desire for something and not even know that we're being ruled by the subconscious, or that we're being thwarted, and that we have the obstacle of our own subconscious standing in our way. And that's where we really stand in our own deepest, in our own way, right? And there's a lot of layers where that can happen. It can just be a lack of acceptance of the world the way it is, and a very basic, primal, primitive understanding of the world is that, outside of this egoistic understanding of I want it to be my way, I want it this way, and this is the way it needs to be, right? So if we have this programming on deeper levels that in some way tells us that we are not worthy, or if we don't believe that something is possible on deeper levels, right? The issue is that we don't know what the programming is. I mean, you can go and figure it out. It's not that nobody knows. It's just that you don't fucking know. It's because you haven't looked at it, right? So taking this time and taking this energy and the effort to go in to find out what that programming is, and there's ways to do that. There's prompts of understanding. Journaling does this as a whole. Like, people don't have no idea the value of journaling, of what it is to write it down. Whether it be like step work or just journaling, something happens when you write it down, and it gets it out of the mind and it clears it up and doesn't have to stay there. It's also great for planning, and if you're doing things, it's so important to write stuff down. Otherwise, you're holding all this shit in your head, right? And you're trying to hold it all in your conscious mind, and that's just insane and stupid, quite frankly, So writing this stuff down, journaling, can be so powerful. If you're just journaling, stream of consciousness kind of stuff, it's amazing what starts to come out. Or there's non-dominant handwriting journaling, right? Where you can ask a question with your dominant hand. If you're righty, you ask a question with your right hand, you write it out, and then you answer it with your left. And it's really getting down into deeper places of your psyche. And it's kind of fucking terrifying, because it's kind of like schizophrenia or split personality, which is actually... I'm not going to get into that too much, but when you actually start to understand these different parts of your psyche and understand that it is fragmented in a lot of ways, particularly if you have any trauma, that there's going to be parts of you that are actually fragmented and lost, and you might need to go back and retrieve that space from your mind. That's like I talk about, soul retrieval, is like the shamanic perspective of it is, soul retrieval or inner child work or something like that, is really contacting these other places within your psyche that are locked away. Seems all mystical, or like, I'm not gonna do that. It's like incredibly powerful. It's the most healing fucking thing you can do. It's like shadow work, going into those dark spaces, shining a light on all the things that you don't even know that you're operating under. All these beliefs and dogmas that you don't even know you're operating under. I'm not talking about beliefs as in religion, and I said dogmas, but I mean not even in a religious sense, right? You just don't even know. It's like, what is your relationship with money? When you really understand that, if you think that money, or what is your relationship to life as a whole? Is it that life is a struggle and life is hard? There's a great story about this priest, right? And he was like trying to understand the meaning of life his whole life, and he was just a priest, and he did his thing, and at 65 years old he was like, I gotta fucking know, I gotta go deeper. So he left his clergy or whatever, left his sheep, and he went to the Himalayas, whatever you want to call them, and he finds out, somebody tells him, yes, there's this sage, in a cave up there, knowing the meaning of life, go ask him. So he climbs up, and he's climbing up and scraping up his knees at 65 years old, making all this freaking noise. He gets all the way up the freaking mountain, and he finds this sage sitting there just peacefully in meditation, but he's making all this noise, and he prostrates himself, and he flops down. So the sage opens his eyes, because he's obviously hearing all this hubbub that's happening. And he says, oh, wise one, I was told that you have the meaning of life. I've been searching my whole life and trying to understand, and now I really want to know, what is life? And the sage said, life is the fragrance of jasmine on the breeze. The priest was like, what? That's it? Are you kidding me? He's like, my teacher told me that life is to struggle, life is striving, life is tough and scraping and challenging. And the sage was like, well, that's what it was to him. Right? It is what you make it. It is what your core fundamental beliefs tell you. So look at how you were raised and brought up. If you were raised in poverty, you are going to have a poverty mindset. That doesn't mean you can't overcome, right? But you understand that you're most likely going to have a relationship with money where you don't think that there is enough. Or your relationship to life, if you were constantly taught that it's a struggle, because I get it too, it is a struggle. But what is your relationship to the struggle, right? There is a struggle in life. The butterfly has to struggle to get its wings to out. If you go and help a butterfly out of its cocoon, it's going to die because it's not going to have the strength in its wings to fly, right? So life is a struggle, but what's your relationship to the struggle? Do you see this as something that you're stuck doing and torturous? Do you see this body and this life, even if you're on a spiritual journey and you're in a space where you really don't want to, you think that it's to transcend and get out of this body and get somewhere else, you're fucking your shit up. Because life is a gorgeous, beautiful thing, even in its pain and its tumult and its struggle. So what is this subconscious belief that you have? That's like core, like root chakra stuff, that if you're just trying to get out of this body, you're not even grounding into this body. It's heaven on earth. It's heaven on earth, people. It's the greatest possible teaching you can get. Stop trying to get up to some fucking place or do deeds just so that when you die, you think you go to some fucking imaginary place. Heaven and hell are here right now. They are states of mind. They're beings, and they're created by your mind and your thoughts and your actions, which all comes back down to your thoughts, right? Which is basically, we have to watch out where the subconscious programming is happening. So what is your relationship to life? What is your relationship to money? Do you feel that life supports you? Do you feel supported? Do you have the ability to trust, or have you been shut down? Because what happens is, like, understandably so, I get this, and I work with this all the time with people and within myself, that you've been betrayed, you've been hurt, and you've been hurt time and time again because you keep getting into relationships with people that do fucked up things, right? Because you're fucked up, don't forget that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in a relationship with them. Own it, love that you're fucked up, own it. But you get into these relationships with these fucked up people and they hurt you, and then you get into the next one and you have a suspicion and you can't trust because you know and you're right. And then it just feeds the subconscious idea that you can trust no one and that this is going to happen to you again and again and again. And you stay in this space, of this energetic space of being a victim, which you're creating with your subconscious programming. And then you walk right into the next one and it starts the same way, all amazing and awesome, and then it goes to shit, right? That is all your subconscious programming. And when you heal yourself, when you heal yourself on deeper levels and get to know yourself on deeper levels and get to know yourself better. I mean, I am in a fantastic, amazing, incredible, aware, woke as shit relationship. And I cannot believe the things that I continue to discover about myself. And I've heard people talk about that, people that are in deep understandings of this kind of work, right? That are really doing it and opening up into deeper levels of themselves, being like, then you get into a relationship and you are going to find, and I'm like, holy shit, dude. Whoa. I'm like, holy shit, dude, that is, I can't even, and it's almost, how do I explain this? I mean, because it is this separation from it, not a detachment in a sense of dissociation. It's actually a space of, I can own and understand that it's there and that's the way this mind is operating, but it's not me. So I have enough space between me and all that stuff to be able to dig into what that subconscious programming is, to see when I get triggered down into a space of how I'm now projecting onto other people what I think is happening, and projecting or putting onto other people so that I don't get hurt. That immediately these defense mechanisms kick up, these coping mechanisms kick up, and all this based on this idea that I am not safe, and I am safe. That's why I work so much in these lower chakras, to get ourselves safe and grounded in that space, particularly the first chakra for me when I talk about safe and grounded, right? Is because that abandoned child, that space where you don't feel safe, that is going to perpetuate, and you walk out into the world and you're going to draw in people that recognize that you're not safe and can take advantage of you, so then you'll keep perpetuating the same idea like I spoke about. And B, people who have never experienced that level of not being safe that you have, so God bless you, and you need to take care of that for yourself, you need to fix that. They're going to think you're absolutely out of your fucking mind, because you are, right? Or maybe too in the mind, right? So anyway, so this subconscious programming, it's basically understanding that the conscious mind is going to create whatever that belief of the subconscious mind is. So if you believe something is possible, right, then the subconscious mind is going to find ways. Now, there's also with discernment here, but it can go as fucking far as you want. I read books where people like, in Conversations with God, even, which is like a big one, right? A big book and like well known and stuff like that. He asks, this, it's non-dominant handwriting is what he's doing. He's basically asking God, or so he calls it God, but it's another aspect of his psyche or whatever, or his deeper, higher self, or God too, same thing. He's asking, how long is this body meant to last? And it says forever. You just don't know how to take care of it, that we are eternal beings, that even the physical body is eternal. There is the infinite inside the finite, even in these physical bodies. I mean, it doesn't die. It's physical. The body doesn't die. It just changes shape. It changes form. Not to get too esoteric on it, but it doesn't. You go into the ground, you become one with the earth, and it's that oneness, that wholeness. There is really no death, even when you die. But he's speaking actually very literally, that it's because of your belief system. And Don Miguel Ruiz, another, fucking wacky-ass motherfucker from the Four Agreements, it all starts with, like, really good self-help stuff, and then they all get fucking crazy and into aliens. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, because it all comes down to aliens, people. It all comes down to aliens. Always. How could there not be aliens? Anyway, so it's just a misunderstanding of what aliens and energy and angels and demons and all these things are, right? They're very, very literal things, and they're also not very literal things. So anyway, on this deeper programming, it's to understand that if you have this subconscious belief, the conscious mind is going to create it, is going to be able to make it a reality. So if you believe that something's not possible, if you believe that, oh no, I could never do that, you will never do that. If you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right. Because if you have this idea like that success is not possible in this realm or whatever, and then your conscious mind is not even going to see the opportunities that are there. If you can program your subconscious mind to know that something is possible, all you're going to do is see opportunities to try and make that a reality in your life. So this deep programming has to happen, this deep reprogramming has to happen to see what it is that your fundamental beliefs that are fucking you up in this life. And that's why I throw out a few like your relationship to life or your relationship to money just in general, because those are big ones, like who doesn't want more money, right? And I always, I hated those buzzwords like living in abundance and shit like that. But there is a mindset, there's a programming and understanding that if you didn't have money, which most of us do not, or most of us have a shit relationship with money, there is so much money to be had out there. Fundamentally, it comes down to your own self-worth. You don't actually recognize that you do not think you are worthy. Subconsciously, I can guarantee you, and it's from an ego sense, right? So this is weird because it's like, well, what is ego and what is not? When you actually recognize how fucking powerful you are actually terrified of your own power. You're actually terrified of your own potential. You're terrified to take a leadership role. You're terrified to be who you really are. And it's all because of that subconscious programming. When you recognize that that is your birthright, that is exactly who you are, that you are a child of God, that you are a divine expression of love on this planet. Nay, not a child of God, ye are gods, right? When you recognize that is when you know that is your birthright, why would you not step into that space? So underneath it all, there is this space where I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of that. All the greats had to dig down deep into that space, and you might not totally fucking believe that. That's the whole then act as if, because it's to reprogram that space, right? And it's weird, it's confusing, because some of us need to be put into our place because we think that we're so fucking great, but that's from an ego perspective. This is something well beyond ego. This is something well beyond ego, to where that the negative ego first needs to be dealt with. The ego that's tearing you down, thinking that you're not good enough or thinking that you're better than anybody else. But then the aspects of ego that are not negative, they are taken and they are pointed towards service into something higher in this life. If you want to call it God, if you want to call it community, if you're a humanist, whatever the hell it is, right? It's this connection to all. This connection to all. That as long as you take that ego and you point it towards something higher, and you dedicate your life to that something higher on a daily basis, right? Then the things will start to flow, because you're recognizing that you're not operating from a space of lack. When you recognize that you are whole, healed, and complete at your core, and it takes programming and years and years. Some people say you can just redo it in a day or whatever. Fine. I don't know. I mean, I do believe in reprogramming the subconscious mind by listening to affirmations and repeat some powerful affirmations. Repeat some really, really powerful affirmations. That's what I am steady. I am strong as steel. I am stable as a mountain. I am love. I am confident. I am worthy. I am enough. I am a divine expression of love on this planet. I recognize my personal power. Because we get into the subconscious mind too. This is where you get into like a lot of the sickness, a lot of disease happening. Subconscious programming about disease is so prevalent, right? It's like you make your body sick because you don't actually know how powerful your subconscious mind is, and your own personal power mixed with God, your own personal power, and the subconscious mind. You have the power to heal everything. I mean, stress is 99% of all the fucking diseases in the first place, so it's all in your thoughts. It's not that fucking crazy, right? You can heal on much, much, much deeper levels. And I can tell you that there is subconscious programming, because it's, even when people that are aware, they'll be like, oh, my body's telling me to take a break. So you're right there knowing that it takes you to get sick in order to take a break. So that your subconscious mind knows that it needs to get you sick in order for you to take a break. So you're programming yourself into that space. It's this repetitive idea that society tells us that this is the way it is, right? And we have no idea. That's why I was saying, like, people think this body can live forever. It's just that you're so conditioned to think that you're not going to, that, like, good luck breaking that pattern of thought, right? But when you start to tap into the space of that eternal fountain of youth within you, that space of God, whatever the fuck you want to call it, Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness, that deeper space within, it starts to flow out, and you become vibrant when you tap into that ultimate undying source inside of you, right? It feeds out, it trickles down from the subtle to the gross, from the subtlest out through the grossest bodies, and you will have a youth and a vigor, right? It is, you have to be careful of how you're programming and how you're programmed and how you continue to program yourself. So reprogramming that subconscious mind is so incredibly important. Hear me. You don't even know that you have subconscious beliefs that are ruining your life. You are absolutely worthy. You are powerful beyond your wildest imagination, and you're probably afraid to tap into that. Don't be. Do it. I love you. In Lakesh Lakin, I am you. You are me. Namaste. What? Too much?